Yo, bet. Hello, everyone. Terrence here with Hollywood Already Jaded. If you haven't already, you can like, share, subscribe to the channel, ring that bell below. Anytime we have something, you will be among the first to know. Episode 6, Teen Line, Saved by the Bell Reboot. On this particular episode, we realized that Mac is a lot like his dad, also trash. Before we get to that, let's talk about the A story for this one. Start with the main story. That sort of leads into everything else. This show opens with Lexi and Devontae and the rest of the Bayside team schools doing the school musical and feeling good about life. But Lexi informs Devontae that, hey, just so you're aware, there is a school theater critic that trashes everything, and I'm already prepared. I got my guard up, my shield up, but I just want you to be prepared for that too. And Devontae's like, I'm good. Ain't nothing gonna harm me. There's a funny joke the way that I can't deliver it the way that Lexi does. So I just want you guys to be ready for that. But it's great. But how you're going to get that? How you're going to get that review, that critic review, is via the phones. And the main story, that main A story for this episode, is that the principal feels like all students are stuck to their phones. Everything they do is through their phones. Everything is just living in that life, which there is some reality to that. So his concept is for the entire day, I'm going to take away all phones. Don't know if he thought that through, but in doing so, it creates some situations because the other story that is existing, not Mac stuff yet, is that Jamie and Aisha are getting serious, getting more involved, and Daisy sort of calls her out on it, and she's like, "Yeah, he's really cute, but he's dumb as a brick." And she says that while her phone is auto recording. The auto recording accidentally is sent to Jamie, and there's nothing she can do about it. But then her phone, because her phone is then stolen. But maybe, and what ends up happening is Jamie's phone is confiscated as well. So he does not get the message, and she does not. She still has some time to kind of work her way through it. And so what ends up happening is with Jamie and Aisha, when their story is that she and sort of says to him like, "Well, what if you only have a few hours left to live or romance before something happens?" Not telling him that she said anything, but she's basically aware that the writing's on the wall, and they have a super romantic relationship and day, and they do a lot of things that a cute couple like them would. And so that's their main story. They end up. We'll talk about that in a moment. The critic, his name is Tanner. The critic approaches Devontae and Lexi in the hallway, and the phones are gone at this point in time. But he says, "Hey, it's based on nobody reacting or responding to the critique I have. It must be true." They get into a sort of a verbal altercation, and then Devontae does lightly like move Tanner out of the way, pushes, if you will, and then Tanner does like a backflip and assault. I mean, if you've seen any like of those Ric Flair old school wrestling videos, when he gets punched, he sells the shit out of it. That's what happens with Tanner, and uh, and just off the way the world is, um, if a black man pushes a white kid, it's gonna get ugly real fast. And true to form, the way that everything else has been super really is realized and on the point with Saved by the Bell, that sort of gets played out here too, as the school has to hold a court, and the mom to Tanner, who is one of those dear old Karens, goes above and beyond to try to get Devontae expelled from Bayside, and Devontae ends up liking it a lot there. Uh, there's an interaction too where, sadly, Lexi goes above and beyond to try to keep Devontae there, not really understanding where he's coming from, and their relationship is strengthened a bit because Lexi has a come to Jesus moment that while she is going through something, she never put herself in the eyes of a black male in this particular situation and didn't see where Devontae was saying, I don't really want to fight this. I don't really want to do this. He was sort of coming at it a passive way, and Lexi was coming at it of being a white ally. But Devontae lets her know that I know your heart's in the right place. There's just a different way that we would handle it. So they have a great moment. That all gets worked out because in the long run, they come to find out via Mac, who has been doing this paid for, basically, he's a walking payphone, as Daisy says, but he keeps going around that he's not. But he's come up with a scheme to pounce on people's misfortunes and create this. He's the only one with a second phone, and he has a quarter per minute phone. He finds out everybody's coming to him to use his phone in his closet, which is just like a damn payphone. But he finds out that Tanner wasn't actually at the theatrical performance on the night of. He was at a concert somewhere else, and there's visual evidence. So he selflessly uh, gives up that information to the gang, and they have to go back and find the phones. In finding the phones, that is when Aisha reveals to Jamie that she said something stupid on his phone, and he plays it for him. I won't mess up the gag, but there's a funny gag at the button of that scene that I again, it's one of those things where this show just keeps excelling, and doing things that are so fun. But how other characters leave the room is pretty is pretty fantastic. But what ends up happening is Jamie says, "Hey, sometimes I am dumb. You said I was handsome. Sometimes I am dumb. I can't fault you for something you said once on a tweet or on a text. I know what we had and I know what we went through." So they end up still together despite Aisha freaking out about the thing, and it winds up that they still end up being a couple. Because of the news that they got about Tanner, Tanner is suspended and has to go on Principal Ron's podcast, which seems to be detrimental to everybody. No one seems to want to go on that. It seems to be a very poisoned cause. And all is sort of right. And Mac has made some money that no one quite knows what he's going to do with, because I feel like he's rich. I'm not entirely sure why he needs to make money. But there it is. There's a line in this that is said in jest and is said in, funny, but Devontae's come to Jesus moment to want to fight to stay at Bayside. He says, "I refuse to meet an entirely different group of white people." I messed with that one, Devontae. That was a good line. I messed with that one. All in all, this is a good episode. Not as it is heartfelt as far as dealing with how dangerous it is to accuse or over accuse a person of color of something, especially a black male, and know what the ramifications of that can be. But to kind of soften that blow a little bit and put it in a high school form, but it's basically the bird watching call done here in a high school form for laughs, but it still hits hard. And I think Saved by the Bell so far has been knocking it out of the park with getting these messages in while also still being funny, still being current, and still having the nostalgia of all the other old school Saved by the Bells that we've had in the past. We're a little more than halfway through the series now, but I'm fully invested and fully in love with this series. What do you guys think? How are you guys feeling? What do you guys think about this episode? Go ahead and leave your comments in the comments below. If you haven't, you can follow us on Twitter at HollywoodADI, or you can hit us up on email at HollywoodAlreadyDidIt@gmail.com. And we also have a podcast with the same name that's on Google Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere that plays podcasts. We're there. Be back with episode 7. And like always, got my ticket. You got yours.